The KMS Rundown 2.0.
We are back. The rundown is back. The axe has come out of retirement to produce the KMS Rundown 2.0. I'm, of course, Manners. I'm hosting this edition. And what a delicious irony that I would be the first host of this show, taking over from Red and Ziggy and Sheldon, those noted network haters. They tried to bring the network down. It didn't work, and they've lost the rundown. Kirk has given it to the Manners Minifan Network, and I couldn't be happier. No dog mask. I've decided to go mask free. I know the tradition is to wear a mask. And joining me for the very first edition of the KMS Rundown 2.0 is Oatsella. Oatsella, how are you?
Good. How you doing? Good evening. It stinks. The Celtics are down 20 right now as we record, but we'll be all right.
Well, it's good you're giving a live score update. The Celtics are down 20. Well, this is coming out Saturday morning, so you'll know the result. It's a strong start for the show. We've got a lot to get through. But I just wanted to throw the invitation open to the Minifans out there that if you want to be part of the KMS Rundown 2.0, hit up the axe. We're accepting applicants from both networks. So if you want to contribute to the KMS Rundown, it's going to be a rotating cast. We've got about 5 or 6 cast members already, looking for a couple more. It didn't work out so well that the game is on while the Celtics is on, but Oatsella, he's got the jersey on, he's watching the game, so real team player, real Minifan team player. All right, so let's get straight into it. First, we've got a lot of topics. We're going to do it rundown style. We're going to hit them hard. We're going to get in and out, just like Oatsella, Justin's laziness. You've got this topic. Go.
Yeah, so obviously they're killing the network, our network here, the Manners Minifan Network, for not being on Rumble. I think that was one of their chief concerns for not putting any of our shows on Rumble, right? Or not putting us on their platform because we're not on Rumble or whatever it is, not simulcasting. I think
That's right.
The main thing with Justin's laziness is for the last month, anything that's live on Rumble isn't showing up. So Gaming with Gus, even Robbie V today didn't show up. Mike and the Minifans isn't going on Rumble. So I think it was 2 or 3 months ago, Dave Portnoy brought up the importance of Rumble and how there's a partnership with Rumble and putting things on there. I think Kirk knows the importance of putting things on Rumble. The laziness of the producer, I would put it on Justin, the secondhand man, just to make sure everything's running fine, like greasing the wheels, has no idea it's not on Rumble. So when you look at us over here and they want to fire shots for not being able to work out Rumble, truth's in the pudding. Look at who's behind the booth for the Kirk Minahan show. It's Justin and Coleman. Nothing's been going on Rumble. No one's noticed. No one said anything. It's all incompetency, and it's like a party boat for those shows over there for whatever reason. But we'll live with it. Justin's laziness will skirt by. The second thing I didn't want to let go from Justin's laziness is this story from earlier in the week that he didn't realize or he didn't remember with Kirk running in front of his father's car as a punishment for hiding his report card and whatnot. I've been listening for a year. I think my year anniversary is coming up or just came up or whatever it was. I started listening May of last year. I remember that story. Whether it was a Justin bit, which wasn't funny, it was just weird that he didn't know the story. It seems like he's checked out. Justin, it seems like he's a little bit checked out. And the third thing on that, where he's getting checked out, is I would put the Mean Girls. So we had a great show today. The Big O was in. I'm not familiar, to be honest, and I thought he was great to listen to. And I thought the Kirk pairing was hilarious and just worked out. It was a good pairing with the producers and Mutt there, and they made a good show. But anyway, Justin had no topics, Coleman had no topics, and they kept hammering. Justin twice brought up, when Kirk already said, "I don't care," the Mean Girls topic. Which, whatever, I heard the first thing with, what was it? Going back to memory. Whatever that second part was, if they ever played it, who knows, who cares? It's just laziness on their part. I'll end it there.
I just don't know why they keep bringing the Mean Girls up. It's so annoying. They don't work at Barstool anymore. That was the only reason to bring them up before, was they were employees so you could shit on them. And you're right. They just kept bringing them up. They keep bringing them up. I think this whole week, Coleman and Justin have just run out of gas. Like by Friday's show, they had nothing prepared for Glenn. They had terrible stories. I don't know why Coleman keeps bringing up these awful political stories. Like you've got to start to work out what the buckets are that Kirk wants to talk about. And he never wants to talk about politics. Like when has he ever really bitten on a politics story? He doesn't. And they keep doing it.
The thing with the migrants in the hotels, he seems to like. I mean, if they found something funny with that in a way, or a scenario that they could
It's a funny
bounce off
story.
in terms of politics, yeah, they went on it today a little bit. But you see Coleman just reaching and grabbing for anything in the air that's Republican takes, and I think Jeff brought it up. But yeah,
you brought up before, Justin not putting the shows on Rumble, some of their stuff, and they were calling out us for not doing it. Look, I don't think it's a big deal because I actually think maybe the Minifan stuff can be better just on YouTube because everyone can be there in the chat. It's a bit different to KMS, but whatever. We would go on Rumble if Kirk reached out and said he wants the Men's Minifan Network on Rumble, we'd do it. But I think overall, they care less and less about Minifan content. Like they stick it up on their network, but they don't really care about it. It's just thrown up there now. But a lot of the shows are pretty awful. But yeah, I think they've stopped caring about it.
I don't know why they would care, which is kind of the point. And you have like I would say Justin's laziness is the backbone of it. John from Scranton, who I like and respect, he's the one running that network. And he did want to run this network. If the shows aren't showing up on Rumble and we're catching strays for not being able to post on Rumble, it doesn't make any sense.
No.
Just inherently. So,
yeah.
I mean,
and you brought up the
don't
Justin,
post it.
Yeah, you're right. And you brought up the Justin not knowing the Kirk story about running in front of the car with the dad. So firstly, I was thinking about it and I was listening to some of the show today. Kirk's dad did some real damage to Kirk, and loads of parents have been hard asses on their kids before. And Kirk's not a Robinson Crusoe on that island, and didn't have it terribly. Having to run in front of a BMW to get your report cards. But it is, going to be scarring. And for Justin not to know that, I'm kind of not surprised because it's underrated, but there was a period when Justin checked out of the show. He left. He was doing the Justin show. He was probably listening to KMS, but not as really into it as he has been at other points. So I can see him. Like, people forget there was a Justin era where he detached himself from KMS, and everyone does it. Blind Mike did it. Everyone does it.
Well, when would you put that era on? Like what years, I would say?
Okay, so that's a good question. I would say 2022, 2 years ago.
So when I first started listening, I didn't know who Justin was, and I had to do a deep dive on who Justin was. Like a lot of the characters, when you first get in, you need to get involved to figure out who everyone is or what the joke is or whatever it is. Justin, I actually, when I first started listening, I kept hearing his name. It was like May, and he wasn't really around. I thought they were talking about the prime minister, which I thought was funny back now. Like, oh, maybe like that's to have the joke a little bit. Yeah, I thought they were talking about like they were joking like a caller Trudeau. Yeah,
another Canadian president joke.
Yeah, but
what was the Canadian president doing? Vomiting up a gallon of milk.
I wasn't there for that. So this is all, he I think he disappeared in early 2023, and it was when he didn't get a job at Barstool, and he showed up again in the producer search thinking he would get a job at Barstool. He didn't, left again, came back thinking he would get a job at Barstool Chicago, which is after the producer search ended, didn't. And Dan hired him pretty much saying he's perfectly fit for the Kirk Minahan show, which he is.
So you're down on Justin. We've gone around.
You're down
on Justin.
I'm beyond surprised he doesn't know that story, because I know that story. Just even a half of you bring it up to me, and like Kirk was like, you don't know like me running from my dad's car, and I was like, I know the 3 elements of the story, and he didn't even have a sense of it. So that is insane.
Well, we are tackling the big issues on the rundown. That's for sure. Right,
of course.
Number 2, we've got the basketball. Huge week for the basketball team. 2 spirited performances, 2 losses. I thought Thursday's game was electric. The 15 minutes before the second half was fantastic. And I thought Polar I mean, that was a historic performance. Like that
Yeah.
cameo will go down in sports history. The long ball to Ron, the Tom Brady pass down the court was sensational. When he took on the big number 10, just started trying to really defense him out, hard D. I loved it. Tell you seem like you're a bit more into basketball than I am. You've got the Celtics jersey on. What have you made of Team KMS's week?
I think this week is, and it was, I called it out, I think on 3 Up 3 Down, that this was something when a lot of the grifters of the show up again. A lot of the people who were only here for the high times, like in the first week of basketball, will show up again. It's great content watching everyone run around out there. This week, between the Gus controversy, which created content not only for the show, like inherently, but all of Barstool. And if Rico had dragged it out, it could have even been a week or two of content for Barstool and Rico and himself. The Thursday game, it was. I've actually watched it twice, just for fun.
Wow.
I actually thought it was fun to watch again over. And between the whole, it's a Kirk Minhan show production. You've got you pulled announcers out of Stop and Shop, right? And you got Josh, who was an intern who got fired from being an intern because someone lied and said he didn't do work, and he just shows up again, and he's an amazing announcer. So is James. Everyone on the sidelines, between Bobby, right? You got a Be a Man guy. You've got the people in the stands taking random videos. It's truly it's a Kirk Minhan show production. And I think something they said today is, all the cameras are out and people are playing hard only when they're there is right. And I think you said last night that they may have, I think Greg Hill hired a ringer, you said, for the Thursday game, number 20.
I know.
Yeah, so,
I said Adam Jones. Adam Jones.
Adam Jones.
Hired a ringer. Yeah. Do you know who Adam Jones is, or do you know the Adam Jones story?
I don't know the full story. I know he's on EI. Is he in the afternoon?
It's Adam Jones, the baseballer, and I don't want to relitigate it, but it's an old one for
the center fielder.
Yes.
Okay.
I think he hired.
No, I want to do a Coleman rant off me for 20 minutes, but I do. Yeah, no. Is there Jones on WEI, just to clear that up?
Yeah, there is Adam Jones as well. No, you're right.
Okay. No, I got the mixed up.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I don't want to do too much on it.
No, my issue with the basketball team is I was thinking about this today. Either like you treat it like a fun thing to do. They're not trying to win a game. They're just going to bring in all sorts of whack packers. You send out Justin and Coleman and all these people that can't play. Or you think, no, we want to sort of be competitive and we're going to try and find some Minifans that can play, and we're going to try and win some games, and still we want people involved with the show. We're not going to bring in ring-ins, but at the moment it seems like they're trying to do both. Like Kirk's like, oh, we want to try hard, but you're also like like I was saying on Menace Live, the problem at the moment is the gap between the best players and the worst players is too big. So the starting 5 or 6 is not bad. They're competitive. They're probably still not going to win a game ever. But then you bring on your Micks and your Colemans and your Gusses and your Justins, and they're way below them. So they need another 5 competitive players. And so I think Kirk's got to decide, is this going to be like the sort of the yin and yang of the Harlem Globetrotters, where they just go around and be hopeless, or are they actually going to try and win a game?
I think you need the bumbling retards.
Yeah,
like
which is fine, but then don't play hard. Don't try all the tough guy shit like they tried last week.
Well, they need more of them.
Smile, have a good time.
Well, they need more of like I thought with Gus out that Mick might have more minutes. Mick only played like 2 minutes. They were fine, and I saw him on the sideline. He was much better than just going in there and looking, unalive. But you need someone out there like Coleman, and I think the whole come up story with Kirk dealing with all these bumbling idiots, right, or bumbling retards, whatever it is, to count Coleman, to count Gus, to count Mick, to count just the people who can't contribute up much, the people who can't contribute on the team much, but can do things like Mutt can run around in circles and play defense. So can Gus. Coleman's fat, right?
Well, but I don't think Gus can even do that.
No, but he runs around, right? I guess, and he falls over, and it's funny. But I think that's half the aspect to the entertainment. And if Kirk was able to make like Jack Coleman, who's, unable to do anything at this moment, who's, if you were to make him get one rebound in the next game, but I think, and one thing with this whole basketball thing that I've seen is Coleman's taking it all as a bit. It's all a bit to Coleman.
Wow.
He sees that Big Cat picks up his air ball, and Big Cat's like, "Oh, that's funny." But it's a 4-second video of Coleman hitting the right backboard, and that could happen in a 2-second clip any day of the week for a bit. And it seems like Coleman's bad play has been a bit. I think when he gets on the court and plays the game, he's out of shape. He doesn't know how to play, scrimmage basketball 5-on-5 with
Terribly out of
rules.
shape. Yeah.
Yeah, and the bit dies. So like he's only not funny on the court, or not only not funny on the court, like he is in practice, but he stinks, and he
I'm worried
can't
about
stay on
him.
it.
Someone his age being that big, it's he's not like he's tracking to be, think when he's 30 how fat he's going to be. Like if he's that big at 24, how much worse he's going to be. And I think, I'm no basketball analyst, but I think his mistake on Thursday night's game turned the game. That was where the momentum changed. Kirk was driving hard to the basket. At that point, his team was, they had an 8 or 9 point lead, driving to the basket. He offloads to Coleman, who's asleep, who's thinking about, what McDonald's burger he's going to eat on the way home. And the ball just goes past him. The other team starts with the basketball. They score, and they go on a bit of a run. So, I think Coleman sort of was the reason they lost. You've got number 3 point Coleman's intern alpha issues. Please explain.
Yeah, so Coleman obviously has no idea how to run a ship. That's why Gus got fired, right? And that was my whole months ago on Twitter of trying to go at Coleman and whatever. He just doesn't know how to manage people. He's never been a boss. He's never succeeded at a full-time job, and that's okay. He's young. I think when he's looking at this internship, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, he asks Kirk for permission to interview this guy. And then this week he says, like he's like begging, "Can I hire him?" I mean, it's your job to hire them, first of all, and they work behind the scenes. Like Kirk wouldn't know who they are anyway, and that's kind of how Josh came about in a way. Like Josh came in through the back end. I don't think there was really much introduction. They might have brought him up on the show once, and then he showed up and he was there.
Well, this was a consistent promise, wasn't it? From all the producers, they said we're going to build a team of interns. There are so many clout chasing morons that want to work at Barstool. You could easily have 2 or 3 people helping with the show. Like you're right, he should just do it.
Well, I want to say, I know you're a big Steve hater, but I'm still I'm like a year and a half in on my re-listen. I thought Big Steve always had interns.
He did.
It was never an issue. Yeah, and Steve,
he was a very diligent producer, just not a nice person.
Well, and I would put him more in an alpha male camp in that Coleman's not, right? Like Steve can introduce people, bring him in.
Yeah. But did you catch today that Barstool did a job review with Coleman and somehow Kirk did not know about this? Like, how can any review be conducted on Coleman where Kirk isn't present? Like, well, what are they looking at? Like, are they just looking at the figures of the show or the social figures, whatever? But I mean, that was sneaky.
It's HR.
That was
a
snake move. But that was a snake move from Coleman. Like, he should have said to Kirk beforehand, HR's reached out. They want to do a performance review. What do you want to be part of it? Do you want to have your input? Like that was
scaredy cat Coleman.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's that kind of. Is he going to be able to get an intern or have them work for him? If he's always a scaredy cat, like whether you want to put that as alpha male or whatever. Like when dealing with Gus, he was always scared, and that's why. Like if he were to put his first foot forward and tell Gus what to do, it wouldn't always be whatever it was, and he's still dealing with that beat producer issue today. But when you look at hiring an intern, what's the intern going to do? Like Justin at this point can't even make sure shit gets on Rumble. And Coleman doesn't care. Like the intern is going to cut clips. You still have Bobby doing that. You still have Bobby at basketball with a camera working for free.
There's a lot they could do. You could really keep interns busy. There's an endless well of stuff they could do.
They could definitely give them stuff to do. But my thing with Coleman is he's thinking of the content. So when I say what are they going to do, he's thinking of production. It should be more of a learning process for them, which is where I get into more of the alpha side of like he's not going to be able to just teach them things and let them move on.
No,
And
he's way too young.
go
He's a
away.
number two.
He
I've
doesn't
said
really
for a
know.
long
Yeah,
time.
they're gonna walk in. It's gonna be like Josh. They're gonna walk in. Something will happen, and he's gonna throw Josh under the bus, and Josh quit.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna be that same kind of thing. But
Great.
I'm more so concerned with his inability to hire anybody on an internship. And then the second part is he keeps asking and begging, "Can I do this?" Do it. Bring them in. Let them do things, and move on. It's not like a 2-week show topic where he begs if he can tell them what to do. I mean, that's kind of his job.
Yep.
Talk about performance review.
Tied into this is a shout out to the show How Dumb is Coleman on this network. It's terrific.
Great show.
They've done 2 episodes, and we saw it all today, didn't we?
We did, yeah. They had no topics today, nothing at all. And Kurt kept saying, I think almost every time they brought something up, let's move on. And they still don't. I mean, it's this incessant ability.
So can I give you my insight?
Yeah.
The big oat, how I would handle that if I was Justin and
like when Kurt
Coleman.
says no to a topic. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would want, if I was the producer and I would do it on it, I would want to know, like, as I said before, it's clear Kirk doesn't want to talk politics. So if you keep bringing up politics stories, you're a fucking idiot. But I would be like, okay, Kirk, what do you want to talk about? Like, give me some buckets. Right. You know, we know the Minifan stuff. We know the basketball stuff. We know the Barstool stuff. Mean Girls doesn't fit in any of them. Chuck it out, right? Then, you know, do you want to talk about new movies? Because sometimes Kirk, if you hit him with a movie topic, he's like, he picks up on it. You know, find the buckets that Kirk's interested in and go there. Don't keep going back to the same ones you know he doesn't like. It's just stupid. And it's on them to get out of Kirk what he wants to talk about. Like, you know, I do think it's a bit egotistical of Kirk to have set up the show where the structure of the show now is the producers sort of have to find a story that titillates him. Like, no, like that's not the way it works. Right. But admittedly, the producers don't learn. The producers don't learn, you know?
Right. Well, I was going to say, they say, did you hear that a lot? They don't even know how to bring up the topics, or in terms of like the podcast, how to just keep the topic flowing. I think if even you bring up, like you said, a movie topic, if you think it's going to fall flat, at least you can say, hey, this movie, or hey, this song from 1980 is anniversary this year, and then move on to your next. Maybe this will be a 2-minute topic, but there's no charting out of like, maybe this topic will be 5 minutes. Maybe this will be just a 30-second, I'll bring it up.
And you bring up Steve. You know, like what Steve could do was he could throw a little jab at Kirk to get him going. And Coleman and Justin aren't smart enough to do that. Like they can't throw just a little jab that, you know.
Well, they're both betas. They don't have anything that they stand for. And I think Justin going at Coleman for that is insane. They don't have anything that they stand for. Steve did. Steve could go in and say, whether it was a joke or not, something that would throw Kirk over the edge, and then they can have an hour-long conversation about it, digging into Steve, whatever it is, calling people. With these guys, it's, hey, did you hear? Like they want to find out what's viral. Did you hear that? It's very 20-year-old. Both of them. It's nothing
low-hanging fruit. Too much of it. Yeah. Shout out How Dumb is Coleman. Go and watch it. There was a face reveal for episode 2, so you get to see who the host is. Topic 5, and again, this was written by the Big O. And you know, Montante is a friend of mine, but you've written Montante has officially become a grifter. Please explain.
You know, it's sad. There were rumors out there that he was selling Trump coin in Portland. I think if anyone with a brain were to look at the Trump coin price the week going to Portland, and the dip probably when he was telling you to buy and he was selling.
I lost 200 US on trying to buy Trump coin or buying.
Hey, it's sad. It's a rumor too. I don't want to pin him on anything. I think Kirk Coin is another one that's out there. I don't want to pin him on anything. I think
actually,
the one
you
thing
can only get on Mike and the Minifans now if you pay in Kirk Coin. Like that, Timothy Fax is now the host of Mike and the Minifans. He got that, just bought a shit ton of Kirk Coin straight from John from Scranton. John from Scranton's, we know what he spent the money on, but anyway, go on.
Well, we have John paying Josh and James for shout outs on the broadcast, but you know, this is how far the money pit goes apparently over there on the other network. But with Montante, and it's good for him, his job as a salesperson. Sad to see him do it to his friends a little bit. I was kind of hitting on him a little bit for hitting hard on him for not getting an ad sale. I think it was kind of sad that he wasn't getting an ad sale. Here he is finally getting an ad sale.
But
But if this ad sale,
these coins are just shitty fucking
well,
pyramid
this ad sale
schemes.
officially gets him a grifter. Not only
yes.
does he need them to do well, like he needs people to use them, but I don't know what kind of commission he got from the show. So in terms of, whenever you go after Montante on Twitter or whatever it is, people come at you like, "Oh, you're a giant dickhead, you're a sadistic asshole, whatever," because you're going after Montante or you're checking him on things. The guy's selling you ads now, right? He's selling you coins that lost money. And apparently from this show, he's your friend or a good guy. I would just say, count your blessings and look at your cards. The guy wouldn't be anything if you weren't going to pay that, what is it? McDonald's French fries, consulting or construction or whatever it is. Or you didn't buy Trump coin, you didn't get 50 grand to start betting for the next 6 months, or you didn't loan him money a year ago when he was down bad. So just keep your eye out for that guy. That's all I would say.
Oates down on Montante, but yeah, he did have his ad, didn't he, this week? Was it Thursday or Friday show?
It's like McDonald's. I think it's McDonald's construction.
And they were saying like who wrote the copy. I'm a Montante guy. I'm glad he's hustling. But
good for him. It's his job.
Those coins are just massive pyramid schemes. Like they're just more complicated pyramid schemes. You just start a coin up, you try and get all people to buy in. It goes up in value. You sell high, and then
look who
inevitably drops in value, and you fuck your friends over.
I would just say, look who's selling you this ad. The same guy who sold you Trump coin 2 months ago.
Yep.
So, for McDonald's Consulting, I'm glad that you were able to do this and you're going on the Kirk Minahan show. Whoever you're dealing with, that's kind of, I'd put that out there as a cautionary tale, but, that's not, my problem to deal with. I don't give Montante any money.
Well, I want Montante back on the show. I think he's very good in there. I think he should be in far, far more often. My understanding is the host of the show, Kirk, wasn't particularly happy with Montante's last couple of appearances on the main show, but I still think even
it was bad pairings. He had bad pairings. One of them being Ryan Whitney, but
yes,
yeah,
and I think an average Montante is still better than most of the people that go in.
100%. If you threw Montante on Monday, it would be a much better show. I thought Monday was good. Maybe even Gus Montante Tuesday, rather than I think Mick was in on Tuesday. But one of those off day shows is better for him when he gets in with someone like Whitney. It's that kind of grifting mindset that I want to just alert everyone to, that he's grifting off the show. And like, especially when he's in on Whitney, he's just like allured by him and his eyes are lighting up and he's trying to get Whitney to remember his name and all that fun stuff. Like Whitney says sneakers his name. He wants him to say his name. So, just look out for that guy. All
right. Well, I'm a big Montante guy. And I think the good thing about him, he's been pretty open that he owes a lot to the Minna fans. He's a new job, making all this money off us. So, yeah, he might be a grifter, but he's pretty upfront about it.
Well, good for him. If he keeps making all the money, too, it's good. All the more power to him.
I want to talk about Friday's show with Glenn. And we'll get into the show, but I'm going to try and play this clip. Let me see if this works.
How it works. Little political, don't you think?
Yeah. You saw the buy.
All right, so it does work. So I'll play it again. It's a very quick clip, but look at this. So Kirk asked Justin to get Glenn some water, and Glenn totally big times Justin. It's the handout, no look, which is that's a dick move. Not even an acknowledgement, not even a thanks, even just look and a nod, thank you, while Kirk's talking. Well, look at it again. Look at the way Glenn big times Justin, and he kind of does it all show to the producers.
How it works. Little political, don't you think?
Yeah. You saw the buy.
Look at that.
It works. Little political, don't you think?
Yeah. You saw the buy.
Now,
he didn't have a water to start either.
No, but can you imagine that was Mick? Like if Glenn had done that to Mick, Mick would have ripped his fucking head off. Like, Glenn is lucky that was Justin.
Well, Mick probably would have chucked that water bottle at him, which would have made for great content. I don't understand why Justin didn't get him a water to start. It seems again to their laziness a little bit.
Mm.
I think Andy Mayo had a water when he started in the studio, and that became a controversy.
He probably got his own though.
No, apparently he was there. It
Mm.
was like Mayo. There was the day Mick stormed out. It was Mayo and
You're right.
Mutt.
I
Yeah.
mean, they had a shocking day on Friday. They produced no water for Glenn, no stories. But aside from that, Glenn totally big time. I'm like, Glenn, you can still thank someone for getting you some water. Like it's a human thing to do.
Well, I guess that's him. He's a big star, I guess. And I think
Thinks
my
he is.
favorite shows with Kirk are when he brings on those people who know how to talk into a microphone a little bit. Not only sports, right? So like I liked McElroy on the show. I thought it was a lot of sports related, and once you ran out of that content, it was over.
Yeah.
When you bring on someone like Ordway, you have all these old stories that come up. You have anything between inner workings of like EI or what's going on today and what they would rather do or whatever it is. Like it's good talk radio. When he has someone with him, I used to like Mud on there, but it's gotten a little tired. Ordway today was a great relief from just the normal routine. I hope he's on more.
Yeah.
I'm
What I
over Mutt a
loved
little
today,
bit.
Glenn was shitting all over Mutt. Like Glenn was shitting all over everybody, but it was mainly Mutt and the two producers.
Mutt's got to get a job. I don't understand. It's been, and he jokes about being on EBT and going to Home Depot and paying for plywood or dirt with EBT. I mean, that's not funny. It's a pretty bad time if he's trying to do that stuff and he finds it funny, but he's selling $50 ads on his Substack, going to Mohegan Sun, getting a free hotel room and a $200 voucher. I don't know. I just feel bad for the guy. He's got kids. The basketball thing.
I don't feel bad for him. He's an asshole. You reap what you sow. If he was nice to people and replied to DMs, he'd have a job by now. He'd have a great job by now. But he's shut himself off. He big times people that he shouldn't. And I think you reap what you sow.
He thinks he's a star. What are you going to do?
You reap what you fucking sow. And then he tried to compare himself to Glenn today. Glenn's twice his age, independently wealthy now from a very successful radio career. Mutt is not in the same boat at all. You can't retire, in your early 40s when you've got no money in the bank. It's just ridiculous.
Well, Mutt was fawning over his $1 million a year contract. I think Kirk had that and more. He was talking about. I think it was like 1.3 back at EEI. I mean, he was like fawning over it. So it would relate to me now why Mutt fawns over Kirk even more. Is he looks at those big. He thinks he's a star, and then he looks at the kind of money and it's public that Kirk gets because Kirk had said it, or maybe it was already public, and he's all over Kirk. But poor Mutt, poor guy can't get a job, won't help himself.
But I thought Glenn was very good. As I said, big time the producers. They had it. He you can tell he listens to the show because he just wanted to pile onto them, piled onto Mutt. I
think it was Zolak too, right? Zolak and Bertrand, where they played that today. I don't listen to that, but they played it today, and they were like trying to soft not name Kirk, right?
You know what they can't.
Funny.
But you know what they can't do. The producers, they can't play the right point of a cut. Like they can never have the bit ready you want to listen to. It's always like, the minute before, and no one wants to listen to the minute preamble. You just play the fucking cut Kirk wants to hear. And so often they go to play something and it's just like Kirk's like, nah, well, let's move on because you don't have the right spot ready. Yeah.
When they couldn't find his co-announcer with the Celtics, the play in Madrid,
Johnny
Spain.
Most. Was it Johnny
McDonald's
Most?
Open. Johnny Most, yeah. Johnny Moss, right?
Not sure.
I don't know.
Anyway, it's a good show on Friday. Glenn's getting older, but you could tell, every now and then his age sort of shone through. But he did suggest I should be in the basketball team as a joke, which I don't know. That's kind of short guy on short guy crime. Like two short guys got to stick together. Like I've clearly not built for basketball, built for lots of things. And I sort of thought, would it be interesting if Kirk, like they tried a lot of sports. So they've done basketball. Like, could they do like a softball or a baseball team, like a summer league, get a Minifan baseball team?
I don't know. Cause this started off as Coleman's good at basketball, the SAC league. It started off as a Coleman joke. And it wound up with Kirk challenging Coleman to join a league. They found a league and did it, and it kind of turned into this thing, which goes back to Coleman's an idiot and Kirk's a genius. Kirk brought up this, let's do a basketball league, and fuck you, Coleman, you're an idiot, right? And here they are now, and they've got, tens of thousands of views on the video from Monday at least. They've got every big Barstool grifter on Twitter, people who just clipping stuff on the Kirk Minahan show basketball team, posting it. I think Joe Sauce or whatever his name is one of them.
Yep.
Like they've got all these people, like they're into it. People are into this thing. And Kirk created that. I don't know if
Probably baseball's a bit long. Baseball's a bit longer too. It's like a couple of hours.
Well, he hates the Red Sox. I think like if you were to bring up Mick, played 2 years in Little League, I might do it. But
that's true.
I don't know.
That's true. That's true. We could bring Mick out of retirement. That might be the little hook. We've done Coleman. It could be next. Anyway, point is, I'd probably do better on baseball. All right. So, any stuff you want to bring up from the week? Because I just want to tease a few things for next week. Got anything out?
No, just even whoever's the coach, but nothing.
Yeah. I guess that's a few things for next week. So, at one point, Kirk mentioned that Steve from Gloucester was at the team. He even alluded to him being the coach of the team in he and Gus's absence, but then he wound that back later on. But, what we're seeing now is, the door was closed on Steve and it's just cracked open a little bit. This could be the start of Steve either coming back in for a sort of show or being part of the basketball team next year. I'm not a Steve from Gloucester guy, but I certainly, like having everybody around. I mean, he's soft as baby shit and he can't take a punch, but still, I wouldn't mind having him around.
I'd love him to be into it. If he gets into it, it seems like he's creeping back into our universe again a little bit, which is always a little bit funny. The producers hate it, so I'm even more so on the Steve train. And I was in the beginning when he wanted to join the team late. I think him changing his profile and everything, trying to be all basketball and Celtics, like he probably always was a sports radio kind of guy, just being like, oh, I know how to play basketball. If you let him coach the team and maybe you give him full personnel decisions, I mean, he could have a week on everybody. You let him run practice, you let him maybe even run a second practice during the week, and then kick people off or rearrange a starting line. I mean, that Thursday game could be a nightmare if you let Steve and his ego get in there. But in terms of him creeping back up a little bit, I've been in and out of the Tom Shattuck burn barrel, and I think that's something where he was in before he came out in KMS a little bit. I think he definitely was earlier this week. I don't want to drop any bad bombshells. I love the Tom Shattuck show, but I think Steve called in again for the first time in a little while earlier this week, and now he's back in on the KMS world. So I don't know if you've got Tom in his corner trying to help him, and now he's all back in on the Tom Shattuck world, and then he says, okay, I'll go in on KMS again. But it's just obvious KMS isn't his number one thing. He's just an excited guy.
He's a clout chaser. He just wants anyone that'll give him attention. He just wants anyone that'll give him attention. He'll take it from. Yeah, and
he's excited. So I think seeing him excited, like seeing Gus excited, it's like let him have the full control of the team. Just give it to him.
Wow,
and let him.
I think that's a bit too much. I don't want Steve given that much power. I think his ego won't be able to control that. Like we saw, he was allowed to do that thing at Portland, and he thought he was a big star. But I'm happy for him to be back. The door's open for him, and you're right. He's a clout chaser. There's a lot of people that the reason they want to be a Minute fan is because it's the only podcast in the world where it's so interactive and you get some attention. So big week next week. Also, like Gus and Kirk both in Chicago. This is a recipe for disaster. Like I think Gus is going to do something that is going to piss Kirk off.
I think Gus is going to stay away. He might do something weird at Barstool Chicago, but I don't know if
definitely.
I feel like Gus is going to be so manically driven that week that he is going to be flying to Chicago, staying with that guy. He's going to have his plans to run around the streets for a day, and then he has the interview, and whatever's going to lead up to the interview with whatever bit he's going to walk in with. Whether he embarrasses Kirk might be where he gets mad, but I don't know if they cross paths. Do you think they cross paths?
Oh, absolutely. Gus keeps saying he's going to be around. I could just see him hovering around. And like, I like Gus. He's a nice
Trying to
guy.
produce.
Yes, I like Gus. He's a nice guy, but he does have this annoying presence about him. Like before the basketball game on Thursday, he's like walking around, and the way he sort of sidles up to people. Like, you're right, he gets overexcited, and combination of being brain damaged and high. It's just sometimes it's going to be too much to, and he doesn't know when to rein it back, and that's what I think will be the problem in Chicago. He's because basically Big Cat has said, I'm not giving you a job. Your only chance is if Portnoy sees something and goes, I want to hire you, which means really, actually, Gus, it's incumbent on him to try and do something, like try and get noticed. So that is a recipe for disaster, if you ask me.
I thought his opening was with Rico this week. I'm not. I don't want to call myself a full-on rider, but I'm a rider. I like Rico. I think his content is funny, in a way, whenever he can do it right. But I'm also a New Yorker, so that might be like, just the accent and the attitude and his bit might just land with me a little bit more. He's also a New York radio guy. But when Rico went to the hospital and went radio silent for a full day and was just bitching about being in the hospital, that's a bitch move. That's a pussy move to walk into the hospital, say you could have died and all this stuff, and have people walk around or on Twitter be like, we're going to kill Gus and all this stuff. He came out in a sling. He's writing on a whiteboard, and he's able to lift his arm. I mean, I also have a back shoulder injury. I can't really lift my arm that well up a certain degree, and I can't put much pressure on my right arm. Rico's writing. I can't write with my right hand right now. I'm not in a sling or anything like that. I don't need it.
There was nothing wrong with it.
There's nothing wrong with him. Yeah. So I don't really understand his whole pussification. And I think Gus, if you were to lean in on it, it might have, like, if you were to ask for a second Rico meltdown in terms of content, especially like he almost gave it to them on the Unnamed show when Rico was slamming the table and saying, well, then why did you do it? Why did you do it? Like, just finding that light in Rico to piss him off. Like, right when he was saying, well, why did you do it? Gus is backing up and saying, well, you should have landed on it and been like, well, I did it because, and just tried to piss him off. But Gus, I don't know if he has that kind of self-awareness.
Be the Nadu, the new Nadu to get a job.
Yeah, he's dealt with it already. And this was a weak kind of rider showing, so I'm a little...
You down on Rico.
I'm down on Rico for going to the hospital and only coming off with a sling. I mean, why did you go to the hospital then?
Yeah.
There's no point.
My thoughts on Rico are the same. I appreciate he had me on the show, Pick Central. But he hasn't changed, and he showed his true colors during the week. But that is next week. That is what we'll be watching.
Yeah.
Gus and Kirk in Chicago. Kirk was very vague about when we're getting main shows next week. So it could be a pretty tough week for the Minute fans, with maybe only one or two main shows next week. Right. So, yeah.
Well, and honestly, I'd be okay with taking the week off if Jeff's producing.
Oh, wow.
To be honest with you.
Not a Jeff guy?
Not a Jeff guy. He doesn't even produce. I mean, what they do is they zoom into Boston. Coleman and Justin are in a studio, not on camera or anything, and then Jeff is producing. I mean, he doesn't even bring any topics. I don't know what he's doing other than turning on the computer. But I love hearing from Kirk. So if Kirk wants to go out and do a show, I love it. I was just saying, if Jeff's going to be behind the camera talking half the time and not even being on the show, he should sit second chair. Other than saying he's producing behind the camera and not even doing anything. It's obviously being produced by Coleman.
Yeah, I'm a Jeff fan. I think he's a good producer. But I do think maybe they could he doesn't deserve a hotline into the show. He just seems to call in.
Yeah, that might even be why I'm tired of him, but...
Yeah, right. Well, that's it for KMS Rundown 2.0, the return. Oatseller, great job. The Axe has been fantastic behind the scenes putting this together. A couple of, as I said at the top of the show, if you want to be part of the KMS Rundown 2.0, reach out to the Axe. Members of both networks are welcome. So, we'd love to have you on board. This is going to be recorded and released on the weekends. So get in touch. We'll either record Friday night or Saturday. So if you want to be part of the show, reach out. Thoughts and prayers with McFuss Daddy. He's taking a month off, 3 up, 3 down. He's got a few personal issues going on. So sending our love to the South Fuss has had a golden run of Minifan content. I mean,
Mhm.
across both networks, as it pains me to say it. He did jump ship for a while there, that rat bag. But he's produced a lot of shows. Mount Kirkmore, 3 Up, 3 Down, KMS Jeopardy, which was a bit of a flop. But whatever. Anyway, point is, thoughts and prayers to Fuss Daddy. We really appreciate everything you've done. And that's it for the KMS Rundown 2.0. Thank you.